Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches the Jal Sanchay Jan Bhagidari initiative and says that India needs to stand ahead to find a solution to water crisis in the world. Ukraine presses for long-range strike support. The US, Germany and Canada announced more aid. And India's Praveen Kumar wins gold in the men's high jump T64 event. India continues its historic run at the Paris Paralympics. Ukraine has issued increasingly forceful and public cries to provide more help to protect its skies from Russian aircraft and drones following intense aerial strikes. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Germany attending the meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group of allies at the Ramstein Air Base. Now, chairing that meeting, the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that Washington will provide $250 million in new military aid for Ukraine as Kiev faces advancing Russian forces in the east and devastating strikes by Moscow. Zelensky, sitting beside him, said that
the United States is working with Ukraine to design and build a substitute for the S-300 surface-to-air missile system and the R-27 air-to-air missile. The United States has also allocated more than $200 million to purchase critical components to let Ukraine produce the UAVs and the electronic warfare systems that it has deployed so effectively. Our national armaments directors are working in lockstep with the capability coalitions to meet these needs and speed up deliveries.
Well, Zelensky was sitting beside him and he said that Kiev needs much stronger fleet of F-16 fighter jets in critical circumstances. And he also said that a significant number of air defense systems were pledged but are yet not delivered. He stressed on the need for strong decisions on long-range strikes to bring a just peace closer.
The world has enough air defense systems to ensure that Russian terror does not have results. And I urge you to be more active in this work with us on air defense. We need to have this long-range capability not only on the occupied territory of Ukraine, but also on the Russian territory. Yes, so that Russia is motivated to seek peace.
The German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has come out in support of Ukraine and said that Germany will deliver an additional 12 self-propelled howitzers to Ukraine. Pistorius held a meeting with the Ukrainian president on Friday. On the sidelines of the ongoing Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting, he reaffirmed his country's support for Ukraine as long as it is necessary. Ahead of the gathering, the UK has announced that it will send Ukraine a package of 650 air defense missiles. The Defense Ministry in the United Kingdom said that it's in keeping with the government's commitment to speed up deliveries of aid to Ukraine. The first batch of missiles announced on Friday were expected to arrive by the end of the year. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Friday warned that Beijing's support to Russia is fueling the Ukraine conflict and has called on China to stop supporting Russia any further. He also emphasized that the quickest way to end the conflict is to provide weapons to Ukraine.
And China has become a decisive enabler of Russia's war against Ukraine. Through its non-limits partnership and support for Russia's defense industrial base. I call on China to stop supporting Russia's illegal war. China cannot continue to fuel the largest military conflict in Europe without this impacting Beijing's interests and reputation. Ukraine needs more military support now. The quickest way to end this war is to provide weapons to Ukraine.
Amid the ongoing fierce conflict in Ukraine, the Russian President Vladimir Putin made a big statement, and he said that India and China and Brazil are possible mediators to establish peace. The statement sees a reflection from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's serious efforts for peace between the warring parties, a situation that was inflicting upon the global food as well as energy insecurity.
Since the outbreak of conflict suddenly between Russia and Ukraine on February 24, 2022, Prime Minister Modi had been expressing concern on its global fallout. While reverberations on problems of such a conflict were being felt by many, it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who took the first plunge to talk directly to Russian President Vladimir Putin and made high pitch to stop the war. On September 16, 2022, in Samarkand of Uzbekistan, Prime Minister Modi, in his bilateral meeting on the sidelines of SCO summit with Putin, said the irrelevance of the war by saying the famous words, "This is not an era of war."
आज का युग युद्ध का है नहीं और हमने फोन पर भी कई बार आपसे इस विषय में बात की है कि डेमोक्रेसी और डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं कि जो दुनिया को एक स्पर्श करती है। आने वाले दिनों में शांति के रास्ते पर हम कैसे बढ़ सके उसके विषय में जरूर आज हमें चर्चा करने का मौका मिलेगा। आपका व्यू पॉइंट समझने का मुझे भी एक अवसर मिलेगा।
Prime Minister Modi's bold statement was recognized and appreciated by leaders of most countries, including America. Prime Minister had used the relations between India and Russia and his own personal equation with Putin for depicting irrelevance of such a war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi kept in touch with all stakeholders of peace, including Americans and Ukrainians. Primarily, the consistency made Putin feel India can honestly play a role in the war that is in no one's benefit. On July 9, 2024, Prime Minister Modi visited Russia amidst the conflict that raised eyebrows among many. This was the time when an Ukrainian child hospital was hit by Russian missile, and PM Modi condemned this incident from Russian soil, signaling that he was not in favor of such indecent behavior amidst any conflict. On August 27, 2024, the two leaders exchanged views on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict over a phone call. Prime Minister shared insights from his recent visit to Ukraine. He underlined the importance of dialogue and diplomacy, as well as sincere and practical engagement between all stakeholders to achieve an abiding and peaceful resolution of the conflict. Before that, on his visit to Ukraine on August 24, Prime Minister Modi said that India was not neutral. In his opening remarks during talks with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, PM Modi said India was on the side of peace.
हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे, हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, before reaching Ukraine, was in Poland, from where he said that no problems can be solved on the battlefield. He emphasized India's support for dialogue and diplomacy for the early restoration of peace and stability.
भारत का यह दृढ़ विश्वास है कि किसी भी समस्या का समाधान रणभूमि में नहीं हो सकता। किसी भी संकट में मासूम लोगों की जान की हानि पूरी मानवता के लिए सबसे बड़ी चुनौती बन गई है। हम शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली के लिए डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी का समर्थन करते हैं।
In between, Prime Minister Modi was also in constant touch with US President Joe Biden for creating an atmosphere of peace. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Well, moving on, the German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock met her Israeli counterpart Israel Katz on Friday. On the second day of her visit to the Middle East, Baerbock continued Germany's efforts towards a deal between Israel and Hamas to end the conflict there. At a press conference, she expressed her concern over the talks between the two countries. And this marks her 11th visit, in fact, to the Middle East and her 9th to Israel since October last year.
Und das habe ich heute auch zum Ausdruck gebracht,
In our view, a first important step towards easing tensions in the West Bank and also towards strengthening the trust of partners in the region, and I have also expressed this today, would be for the Israeli government to take stronger and more visible action against the acts of violence committed by radical settlers. Anyone who attacks people, drives them from their homes, or even kills them must be held accountable and severely punished. We have repeatedly emphasized that the construction of settlements in the West Bank is a clear violation of international law. It is illegal.
And shifting focus to France now, the far-right leader, Michel Barnier, who in fact was named as the new Prime Minister on Thursday, the 73-year-old, started consulting all sides to cobble together a government capable of mustering a majority in Parliament after 2 months of political deadlock. He said that education security and immigration control would be his priorities, along with an aim to deal with the country's financial debt. The United States' climate envoy, John Podesta, held a meeting with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Friday over the issue of climate finance. And during the discussion, the two sides talked about their differences on the issue and how both nations have made progress in narrowing them.
We had excellent discussions. We discussed the importance of a successful COP29, including on the multilateral issues. We have some differences on where we start, for example, on climate finance, but we, I think, have narrowed the ground there. We made plans for a summit on non-CO2 gases, methane, N2O, hydrofluorocarbons. They get less attention, but they are fully half of what's causing global warming.
Still to come here on DD India Live. A fire rips through a Kenya boarding school dormitory, killing 17 boys. And Typhoon Yagi makes landfall in China's Hainan.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. In a horrific incident, 17 students lost their lives in a school fire in central Kenya on Friday. There are fears that the death toll could rise, as more than a dozen other children have been taken to the hospital with severe burns. The cause of this fire at the hillside Indrasha Primary in Nyeri County is not yet known. President William Ruto called the fire horrific and devastating and has ordered an investigation. A team of investigators has been deployed to the school. School fires are relatively common in Kenyan boarding schools. Bringing gales and heavy rain, Asia's strongest storm this year, Super Typhoon Yagi made landfall along the coast of China's Hainan province on Friday. Chinese state broadcaster showed a video of stormy conditions in Wenchang City in Hainan province when the typhoon made landfall. Over 400,000 people were evacuated from Hainan province ahead of the storm's landfall. Yagi had also shut schools, businesses and transport links in Hong Kong, Macau, Hainan and Guangdong, as well as airports in Vietnam. Yagi had killed 16 people in the northern Philippines earlier this week, registering as the world's second most powerful tropical cyclone in 2024 so far. The 13th International Government Communication Forum is being held in Sharjah in the UAE. This forum showcases innovative approaches to prepare the next generation for an increasingly complex world. So this event features a diverse range of speakers and workshops blending cutting-edge technology with traditional wisdom. Renowned adventurer Bear Grylls shared his journey from survivalist to successful entrepreneur.
And the message for me is always clear. Embrace failure. Don't run from them. Look at them and know the role. When you fail, know their role. That is an essential marker. It's like a doorway, as I say, you've got to go through. It's a stepping stone, if you will. A stepping stone to get to the good stuff. But the one thing failure never is the end. The truth is, it's when we begin.
In a landmark revelation, a recent study published in Nature magazine has highlighted the transformative impact of India's Swachh Bharat mission. The report, authored by researchers from the International Food Policy Research Institute, the University of California and Ohio State University, demonstrates how eradicating open defecation has saved up to 70,000 infant lives annually. Take a look at this comprehensive report filed by our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal.
Since its launch in 2014, the Swachh Bharat mission has been credited with a radical change in India's public health landscape. This new research indicates that the mission's focus on sanitation has led to a substantial reduction in infant mortality rate. The paper reveals that between 2015 and 2020, infant mortality rate in India declined 3 times faster when compared to the period from 2000 to 2015. Not just this, the study also reveals that the rate of reduction in infant mortality reached as high as 9% in the post-Swachh Bharat mission era.
When you can see the aggregate data, which is what we do as scientists, we have to rely on the data and the empirics to come up with our conclusions, not just anecdotes. So then we decided that we must test this rigorously. The theory behind this is basically that improvements in sanitation prevent the spread of disease, because any unclean environment will be a place where disease will breed. And especially in rural communities where healthcare access might be low, that might be a big factor there for the spread of disease. And so the theory is basically you reduce the exposure of or the levels of fecal matter in the environment and the disease burden should go down. And then if the disease burden goes down, infant death should go down. So that's the causal link, and that's the link that we explored.
The Swachh Bharat mission has brought in profound behavioral changes across the country. And under the Modi administration, the coverage of toilets increased dramatically, leading to the eradication of open defecation across the country, increasing sanitation and hygiene across every district in India.
There's also child nutrition outcomes which have been affected. So some literature suggests that this is work by Dean Spears, I believe, that toilet access improves child height, and that so it's basically called stunting and anthropometric failure. That is an indicator of long-term sort of cognitive and health development, and if that improves, then you can expect to see long-term improvements for a person's life. So that has also been linked to sanitation.
The Swachh Bharat mission's benefits extend beyond sanitation. The study finds that areas with higher toilet coverage also report better health outcomes and greater use of piped water supply, suggesting that programs like the Jal Jeevan mission, which has expanded rural piped water coverage from 16% to over 78% in just 5 years, have amplified these positive impacts. As the study shows, Swachh Bharat mission is not just transforming India's sanitation landscape, but is also, in fact, driving a profound change in the public health outcomes of India, saving thousands of lives every year. In fact, a cleaner India is, of course, a healthier India. With camera person Gaurav Giri, this is Dibyendu Mondal from New Delhi for DD India.
And after that report, let's go across live now to the CII India Mediterranean Business Conclave that's taking place in New Delhi. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jal Sanchay, is addressing the summit. In fact, we'll go across to that business conclave in just a little bit, but let's continue for the moment in its ongoing commitment to address the national nutrition challenges faced by the community. The Poshan Abhiyan, or the Nutrition Campaign, it has made significant strides in the Union Territory of Chandigarh during the Poshan Ma 2024, or the Nutrition Month of 2024. And this initiative aims to raise awareness about the importance of nutrition throughout various stages of life, with a focus on improving health outcomes for women and children. And now let's go across live to the CII India Mediterranean Business Conclave, and the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jal Sanchay, is speaking.
A modern reaffirmation of this very pathway, this historical pathway. And today, we aim to reinforce and revitalize these very connections, because what the Mediterranean does is it helps really in helping to link the Atlantic with the Indo-Pacific. The task before us, in many ways you can say, is actually to make history work positively for us in a contemporary era. India's relationship with countries of this region has progressed in recent years, and you can see that especially as the Indian economy itself gathered greater momentum. I believe our trade levels had reached $77.89 billion last year. In fact, I think it was about $8, $9 billion higher the previous year. And we have promoted investments in critical sectors, including infrastructure, energy, and technology. The strategic location of the Mediterranean, which has approximately 600 ports, and actually accounts for it, facilitates, it services 25% of the global seaborne trade. It establishes the Mediterranean as a crucial hub. India, for its part, plays an equally vital role in the Indo-Pacific, because it is India which in many ways extends the Indo-Pacific's reach further westwards. So given the location and the centrality of the Mediterranean and that of India, the levels of activity there, it makes eminent sense to connect the two of them, and that is why all of us are gathered here today. Now, in this context, the announcement of the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC, at the G20 summit last year in New Delhi, it has actually opened up many new promising perspectives. IMEC aims to become a cornerstone of global connectivity that would provide a robust framework for boosting trade and other flows across critical regions. By integrating innovative logistics and sustainable practices, it holds the potential to significantly contribute to both growth and resilience. Now, in a world that is volatile, that is uncertain, security and stability also have to be an integral part of our calculation. So it is very natural that strengthening defense and security cooperation with Mediterranean nations should actually parallel the deeper economic links that we have sought to build in recent times. This has taken the form of exercises, of consultations, of exchanges, but in an era of rapidly changing technologies and supply chain disruptions, there is actually a very strong case for industry interaction. After all, Make in India has now taken deep root in the defense domain as well. Energy cooperation is another very crucial dimension. It's not just the Mediterranean region's abundant oil and natural gas reserves. That is important, we recognize that. But it is actually its vast green hydrogen and green ammonia potential that today present new opportunities for collaboration. And I'm happy to see that Indian business is actually already active in exploring that. Our interests in maritime and blue economies similarly offer greater scope for synergies. By focusing on marine resource management, coastal protection, and sustainable fisheries, we can actually harvest economic opportunities while preserving environmental health of our seas. Cooperating in shipping is particularly important, as also in other aspects of maritime infrastructure, and in building the associated human resources to our mutual benefit. Again, I think most of you know today how deeply Indians are involved with global shipping. Urban infrastructure development is similarly very crucial. It's crucial for us, it's crucial for the Mediterranean, indeed for the entire world. Now, a country like India, which on average has built 1.5 to 2 new metros every year, which has built 7 new airports annually for the last 10 years, we can be a serious partner for Mediterranean economies.
Moving on, in recent years, India has gained a global reputation as a digital nation, and the benefits of the digital revolution are increasingly reaching the agricultural sector. India is set to introduce a unique farmer ID card for millions of farmers. This special card will include the farmer's complete details, and through this digital card, monitoring and services related to farming can be managed. It is designed as a digital public infrastructure under the Digital Agriculture Mission. In fact, India has already planned to create digital identities for about 110 million farmers, and these cards will be rolled out in stages until 2026-27. Promoting farmers' interests has been a key priority of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. That app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.